I'm going to be presenting on Mac Miller. So, who is Mac Miller? Malcolm James McCormick is a famous American rapper and producer. You guys may have heard of him before. Has anybody heard his songs before?
Yes.
Alright, cool, me too. He has released 6 albums and over 40 singles. Some of the songs that discuss his drug use are Self-Care, Perfect Circle. Some other more famous songs you might have heard are Loud, Best, what is it called? All Around the World, Donald Trump. Those are some of my, they get a lot of bumping in the whips. Mac Miller's background. So Mac Miller dealt drugs in high school, but he didn't start using until he was 15 years old. It wasn't until he started touring in 2012. Side note, he was around like 19 at this age, which I'm assuming is probably younger than a lot of people in this room, which is insane. That's the lifestyle I would love, but as you'll see, it's not the one you want. So that's when he started using lean, which is a combination of promethazine and codeine. And this was to ease the stress that he felt on tour. So now we'll talk about Mac Miller's drug use. So he started using because of his negative reviews on his album. And then here's some quotes from him. A lot of reviews were more on me as a person. He said, to be honest, that was even worse. Another one he said was, I was so effed up all the time, it was bad. My friends couldn't even look at me the same. I was lost. 19 years old talking about I was lost? I'm just saying, that's insane. Just at that age and everything like that. When I was 19, shoot, sophomore, baby. I wasn't worried about that. So on the left, you can see a photo of promethazine, and on the right, codeine. All right. So Mac Miller was addicted to lean while on tour. Lean, like I said previously, is codeine and promethazine. So promethazine is an antihistamine used to treat allergies, and codeine is a medication to ease coughing and pain relief. You guys should all be, we've had plenty of training in that, so it goes without saying. Then also he was using cocaine, not to add anything better on top of that. Now we'll talk about Mac Miller's struggle. Mac Miller was very open and brutally honest about his drug use in his interviews and in his lyrics. In 2016, he released a 12-minute YouTube video entitled Stopped Making Excuses, where he discussed his drug use. I recommend it. It's a pretty decent watch. To see someone open up, no matter what it is, about something that's, kind of maybe hard for them to admit for some folks. So I recommend. He's also been open about his anxiety and his depression. Again, he's not shy to opening up about things that most folks might be like, hey, I'm ashamed, I'm scared. So, hey, props on that end. Now we'll talk about his struggle. So Mac Miller started his drug use at the age of 15, which no doubt made him more vulnerable to addiction later on. Like I said, guys, 15 years old was like insane. When I was 15, I wasn't doing anything, you know what I'm saying? So, now look, he later attended rehab and therapy multiple points through his career. So he spoke about it, he tried the therapy like I just mentioned. So it's not like he was just privately, as some of these other guys have done, just suffering alone. He's made it known to the world, okay? As stated before, he was open about his addiction, hoping to keep others from going down that path. Now we'll talk about the law and the legal. So Mac Miller faced the law several times because of his drug use. He faced legal issues for his cocaine use as well as driving under the influence, which don't condone, super selfish thing to do, but that's his life. Now we'll talk about more law in depth. So in 2018, he was arrested for DUI after crashing into a utility pole, and later was charged for hit and run, but the charges were dropped after his death. His addiction caused him to think irrationally and almost ended up killing him in that incident. As I'll mention in the next slide or the slide after that, he ended up dying in 2018. So if the accident didn't kill him, which it didn't, something else was gonna, and it was his drug use. So same year, which is crazy. So now I'll talk about his consequences. So despite his efforts to the contrary, he eventually lost his battle to his addiction. On September 7th, 2018, Mac Miller was found dead from an overdose at the tragically young age of 26. So, like, maybe some people in this room around that age, I don't know, just insane to think about. They were talking about Juice WRLD was 21. So it's just, I don't know, it's just nuts. And obviously, this shocked the world. So now we'll talk about more of the tragedy aspect. Mac Miller's fans were deeply upset and shocked to learn of his death. That's a given. Many other artists and musicians paid their tribute in respect through social media posts, among other things. Some can see his passing as a lesson about the fragility of life and how quickly it can be taken away. Like, you're literally not even guaranteed your next breath. Doing things such as drugs only enhances and speeds up the process of you passing away. So it's if eating healthy and the whole nine with that isn't already enough. It just goes to show that death is no respecter of age. So now we'll talk about the aftermath. So after Mac Miller's unfortunate death, an investigation was launched to find who supplied him with the drugs that killed him. Cameron James Petit was arrested for lacing the drugs that he supplied to Mac with fentanyl. He pleaded not guilty, and as we speak, the case is still pending. So now we'll kind of talk about the legacy, more of the impact that he had. So Mac Miller was an incredibly influential rapper who openly discussed his drug use. In the song Loud, like I was mentioning, that one gets a lot of, wave time in the whip. Literally the first line of the song, he's talking about, I've got codeine in my cup, you can bet your ass I'm sipping. And then later in the song he says, keep me high, drugs is close. So obviously, like I said, with Juice WRLD back there in the back, not private at all about what he's doing. He's telling everybody. His openness about his struggle will hopefully inspire his listeners to not follow in his footsteps. Mac will always be remembered for his incredible music and the legacy that he left behind. So now we'll talk about some lessons. I kind of stated a little bit before, but to get into the main meat and potatoes, what we can learn from Mac Miller is to avoid substances and to deal with our stressors in a healthier way. Some can include exercise, some can include spending time with family, playing chess. Don't go the drug route, guys, for real. Alright? We can also learn how fragile life is and how easy it can be taken away. Like I said, all this did for this guy was just speed up his process. Super talented, young age. I mean, I'm sure we'd all love to be making all this money and stuff, but he threw it away just because he didn't want to find a proper way to cope with what he was feeling after the album failed, the whole nine with that, like I explained earlier. Most importantly, though, we can learn from Mac and his willingness to try to be better and get help. Like I said, how he was trying to go to the therapy and the rehab and openly expressing, trying to talk to people. So, and then here's my 3 sources.